Hey everybody, welcome back to Conscientious Omnivore. My name is Pal. Today I want to talk to you about waste. That doesn't sound like probably the most exciting thing, but I think it is something that's really important, obviously, in the world today. And I'm going to talk about a few things that are related specifically to like gardening and kind of growing your own food, and then also kind of talk about some of the bigger kind of questions at hand as far as like the environment goes and the world we live in. So the thing that got me thinking on this is just that, I think it was 2 days ago, I was walking, and I was walking past a house that was getting renovated, or a big building. It wasn't really a house, and they had ripped out all the windows. They were like these old style windows, the single pane glass, but they were really big, and they were like, I don't know, probably like 150 centimeters by maybe like 60 centimeters or something like that. So really tall, probably like whatever that is, I don't know, 4 feet high by 2 feet wide, and there were tons of them. I mean, there were probably, I would say, easily like 40 or 50 of these windows stacked on the side of this building, and unfortunately, I wasn't like in any kind of position to ask for any of them to be, just so I could have them. But there were guys literally working in the building, and they were just chucking them into the dumpster and just smashing the glass and ripping apart the frames and everything. They were in like really good condition, like just. They were obviously getting replaced with something else as they were pretty much gutting the building and then probably going to, update it. And I just thought, man, this is such a shame that like people are throwing these things out. Like I was thinking immediately like cold frame, like greenhouse, like all this kind of stuff that you could use these, glass windows for. And I just thought like this is just a travesty that we're just throwing these away in the garbage. This is crazy. And of course that's going to go into a landfill and whatever. So then I was thinking like, man, it would be real, great if like those could have been recycled, reused, whatever. And then, I thought of something that I wanted to show you guys anyway, which, I think most people, if you're doing any kind of gardening, maybe you already know about it, but if you don't, I just thought it was cool. I've read several kind of like, permaculture kind of sites where they've shown different kinds of ways that you can use biodegradable seedling pots that you can make like from stuff around the house. And one of the most common ones that I think everyone has around the house is toilet paper. So I just wanted to show you guys how just like a regular toilet paper roll. When you're done, don't throw this away, save these. I've been saving all of mine for a couple weeks now, and what you can do is make these cool little seedling containers from them. So what you do is you just take one and just cut into it, a pair of scissors or whatever, about yay far. You can see the lines like right around here, and all you need to do is just you cut in four lines there, about equal distance from each other, and you just kind of fold them in. So you just fold them in on top of each other like this, and you've got an awesome little container that you can plant into. And because it's paper, this will break down in your garden. You can plant, the whatever you've put in here, like your little seedling, tomato, pepper, whatever, squash plants. And in the springtime, you can either moisten this paper and just tear it apart and throw it away and put the plant in the ground, or you can just plant it as it is. It depends on, I think what kind of plant it is. It might have a tough time going through the layers of the paper, so maybe it's just best to tear it and then put it in the ground so that it's easier for the plant to kind of then keep growing. But this is a fantastic idea, and you can do this with a lot of other things. I'm going to put a link in the description to the article that I read because I think it's really cool, and they give you a whole bunch of other stuff. They give you things like planting into like orange peels or avocado peels, all sorts of stuff like that. You can make these similar kind of shapes or bigger things out of like newspaper. If you have like a newspaper that goes to your house already, or like flyers that get thrown into your mailbox, all those kinds of things can be used. And we should all be trying to do our part to decrease the amount of waste that goes into our garbage. So I hope that was helpful. But then I also want to kind of talk to anybody who hasn't seen kind of some of the documentaries that are out there that are really helpful, talking about the environment and the environmental impact of animal agriculture specifically. So I just want to recommend a couple of things that people should check out. One is of course Cowspiracy. I don't know if you're watching this, if you've seen that or not, but it's a fantastic movie. I think it's really kind of opens your eyes to seeing the magnitude of the environmental impact of animal agriculture, and compares it to things that most people I think who are environmentally conscious and open to kind of like a green message, they would probably already know about the dangers of like fracking and that kind of thing. Like it wastes a lot of water, and it puts those kinds of things into perspective, and you see that animal agriculture actually wastes a lot more water. And there's a huge amount of waste that is inherent in all forms of animal agriculture, even from the smallest scale, kind of like keeping your own, backyard chickens or ducks or whatever, to the obviously, horrific conditions that animals are kept in like factory farming conditions. And, you don't really need to be a rocket scientist to understand why. It's just as simple as understanding that, you have an animal that needs to eat and then to grow to the point that you can, slaughter it and eat it. And if you just look at that, it's just an inefficient process. So if you just look at how much corn like a duck will eat by the time it gets fattened up to the point that you can eat it, if you just took that same amount of corn and just ate that, it's way more calories. I think most of the statistics I've seen show that it's like, roughly like 6 times the amount of energy to produce like, a gram of protein from animal source versus, plant source. So you just think about it from like an energy and water consumption kind of basis, it's very wasteful. But then there's a whole bunch of other things that are kind of like less obvious, and those are some of the other things that I wanted to talk about. So one thing that I noticed after going vegan that was like a huge improvement and definitely like a plus was that I just had a lot less trash being produced in our household. So we just noticed, my wife and I said like, man, like our garbage container's like barely full. And a lot of it is because the packaging for animal products are just like a lot more heavy than for plants. So if you think about it, you go into a produce aisle, you can just take the fruit, take the potatoes, whatever. You might have a bag, but that's about it. You go and buy meat, it's like on a little tray, it's got the plastic covering it, and same thing with like all the kind of like processed kind of like animal products. Everything's in like some kind of packaging to make sure that it doesn't go bad, or that it doesn't come into contact with whatever contaminants that might cause it to go bad quicker. And with most whole plant foods, your packaging is the skin of the orange, the potato, the watermelon, etc. So anyway, that's just another thing that we've noticed, is we just end up with a lot less garbage, and cleanup is actually a lot easier. I definitely noticed that I use less water because you're just not washing everything as much. It's not greasy, it's not like oily, so you don't use as much detergent. You don't have to rinse as much. It's just a nice kind of byproduct. And another thing that I'm going to put in the link to this video is a channel called Bite Size Vegan. And that is a great resource for all sorts of information about veganism. But specifically, I'm going to link a article that covers the environmental impact of the animal agriculture industry, and kind of what benefits you can see. But I'd really recommend everybody check that out. I mean, some of the things about the water usage is really shocking when you hear them. But basically, you always hear these recommendations like put in your low flow, shower heads. You can bring down your usage from, I think it's like 2.5 gallons, whatever it is, a minute probably, to, like 2 gallons. And, you can save X amount of, thousands of, gallons if you do that every day for like, a year, and you only take 10-minute showers and whatever. And, what you can look at is the statistics show that if you just go vegan for a year, it's the equivalent of doing that like shower savings for 100 years. So I mean, it's an insane thing. Like, I'm not suggesting people take long showers now if you're vegan. That's not it at all. I'm saying you should do both. And but you have to realize the magnitude of one versus the other. So anyway, I hope these things are interesting to you guys. Check it out. I'll put in the links. And thanks for stopping by. And I'll see you in the next one. Remember to share and subscribe if you liked it. And thanks a lot for, again, a bunch of new subscribers coming in. Really appreciate everybody signing up. So, I hope you like this one. And, see you in the next one.